Hello YouTube and welcome back this evening to Rosairo Vampire episode 3. Now, last time ladies and gentlemen when I talked about the show and how I talked about episode 2 being kind of a little bit boring because it was basically starred only 3 characters and there were problems aside, like it was pretty, like it dragged for a little bit. Like I can imagine that's the sort of episode you could see once and like not really have to see again, because you basically got the whole spiel from, let's say, a minute into the episode. Episode 3 is not as good as episode 1 again, but for slightly different reasons. So let's see what's what. Oh yeah, I should also point out this from a little bit of context is that we just get straight into the episode. The only things you kind of need to know before this is just things about apparently exam results and where you're placed in a class, despite the fact this is only episode 3. And Skune and Mocha make faces at each other again, whilst Mocha is like top 10 and Skune is literally in slap bang in the middle of the class system. And also you have Mizre over there. No, that's not Yukari. You have Yukari, who's this witch character. Also, I think she's voiced by Monica Rial. I'm gonna keep playing. She's played by Monica Rial, and well, oh yeah, there's also this cliche of just the super smart kid who happens to be super young and. Okay, that's just perverted as hell. That's... Oh, as your class president. Who does this shit? Thank you so much. Also, somehow Mocha just instinctively knew. Yeah. Also, I'm pretty sure this is the one episode where it kind of it hints on racism or whatever it's meant to be, because it's complicated. Okay, yeah, just for the record, and bear this in mind, ladies and gentlemen, because about a minute ago we had this shot. You see this shot here? Well, bear in mind, Yukari is supposed to be 11 years old, and they did that shot. Yeah, this is when you establish things like that, and you still do that thing anyway. Then, well, the problem is that it gets worse. I'll explain in a second. Yeah, apparently, this is apparently what we've got, ladies and gentlemen. 11 years old, bear in mind, and they still... Yeah. And they go one up on this, bear in mind, ladies and gentlemen, with... Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of look away a little bit from this. The dialogue does not help either. It just doesn't. I'm gonna try and look away from this as much as I can, because 11 years old, ladies and gentlemen. This is one of those things that is going to come back to. And listen, bearing in mind the age of consent in most parts, I think it's Japan as a whole is something like 13 years old, and it's not 8. I think it's meant to be 16 or 17 here in the UK, but it's not. Even if it's 13 in Japan, she's still 11 years old. It's still, because first off, it's creepy as hell when when that sort of age is that low anyway. But also, I've just realised these 2 girls at the end, they're literally almost the exact same character. They just got slightly... The eyes are positioned slightly differently, but that's it. And maybe the hair, but they're basically the exact same character models. That's... things get... I'm not looking. I'm not even looking. Again, ladies and gentlemen, please, let's just do a little bit of a brief by brief analysis of the last 30 seconds, because I don't know what it is now, but the age is really beginning to get on my nerves a bit, as well as the fan service. I mean, I hadn't realized really until this point where it was as bad as this. Because guys, let me go through this. First off, Skune runs in shrieking like a maniac, saying that Mocha and Yukari are both girls. First off, Skune with the kind of key observations of somebody who's only just gone partially blind. But second, the way he says it seems like he's saying that, we can't, that they can't be together because that... I don't know what it is, but the way it's delivered, it insinuates homophobia. I don't know, because again, this is not the first time this happens, but we'll get to that later. But also, what the fuck does it matter to Skune anyway? I mean, it's like he's trying to restore the status quo, even though it wasn't really broken to begin with. So, again, then there's that. Then there's the fact that Skune gets roasted by someone 4 years younger than him, and he begins having these... He looks like he's about to have a meltdown. And then we have whatever the hell shot we just had of naked Mocha and Yukari, bearing in mind Yukari is supposed to be 11 years old. That's why, I swear to God, if there's anything remotely comes up that's... I'm gonna abstain myself, because this gets... Oh boy. And I remember even back in the day, this was not the biggest problem I had. Well, it's a lot bigger now that I'm a little bit older, but it gets worse again. But that was a Powerpuff Girls reference there, I think. And also, Yukari's magic amounts to nothing to this. I mean, yes, that's a good question, but I prefer Kurumu anyway. She's better. Oh yeah, also there's this BS. Oh yeah, and also apparently Kurumu's boobs make their own sound effects. And her ass, apparently. Okay, I'm looking away from that. I can't control... I reckon if that excuse will come back in a few years' time to her Skune. I can't control myself. Yeah, I use that excuse all the time. It's why I'm such a regular Casanova, isn't it? And then there's this. Quick question, where is that breeze coming from? The windows are closed. It feels like this is the most forced way to do it. Also, check out, I know you guys can probably see this anyway, but watch the mirror. Skune's eyes, you can see, are open in this shot, and he looks forward, but then just immediately closes them. I reckon that I bet there was a frame missing in this in production, and I think we know what frame it was supposed to be. But yeah, this borders on sexual assault. If yeah, well, there's no other two ways about it. If this borders on done by a let's face it, a very perverted 11-year-old. Oh wait, yeah, he does look up again anyway, so... You guys have got to do something... I mean, yeah, Skune's got a point. I mean, you... Okay, forget it. Skune didn't really lose his temper though. He had perfect reasons to be pissed. And again, the other problems I mentioned, like the exposition is just... Also, that cliche is kind of old as well. The over-the-top law enforcement, and this is basically just like a subsidiary sort of set of characters for what's coming in later on. I mean, again, I'm sorry, but Skune's like kind of like bang on about this. Like, what exactly... Skune has done absolutely nothing wrong in this episode. He went over to basically defend Mocha, and I suppose he was going to defend Yukari anyway. And then Yukari goes around and starts beating the shit out of Skune just because he's friends with Mocha, and Yukari... I mean, Kurubu's plan in the last episode was a little bit, I would say, a little bit more sinister, even though it was a little bit more... Well, to be fair, she did pick a really dumb target. But the point I have to make about this is this. Think about... Let's just take this back 5 minutes, and you could run through everything I said point for point about really why Skune's got every reason to be pissed, and I don't understand why... I mean, why Mocha is so... It's all right for Mocha to be in defense of Yukari because she's... Yeah. Don't know what that was about, but okay. Also, didn't Skune not know this about witch trials? Well done, they look ridiculous. So basically it's Facebook versus a witch. Because she's good at school? What the fuck? What kind of logic is that? Also, again, these shots, it's literally just spawned on me right now that they didn't even need to have their mouse move or anything. This was done purely as a budget saving measure, I reckon. I'm sorry, it's becoming apparent that anytime they have any shots at all, like I'll make a point when they do this next, but oh, by the way, again, not only are they doing this just for when, in that instance before, now they're just having the camera pan on these three guys and they're not even making their mouths move. And this was animated by Gonzo, of all studios. You know, mouse lip syncing is not completely optional. You've got to, like, whatever, I need a drink. There's not enough booze in this room. Where's the damn zip? Oh, Oh, here it is. How about you make your mouse move when you speak? This is driving me nuts. I have a degree in animation and I'm looking at this. This is ridiculous. Thanks for letting us know, show. Yes, the lizard men, so imposing characters that they are frozen by the power of friendship. Is it too late to quit my sobriety now? Yeah, it's already too late. Yeah, what? Yeah, they forgot to make their mouse move. I'm never gonna stop talking about that. And that. Yeah, also, again, I'm gonna reference this again in much future videos, but whenever this show ever decides to do moments like these that are kind of are supposed to be touching, I don't know, there's something very illegitimate. There's something incredibly fake about these moments. Excuse me. There's something very, very fake and there's something very, very forced about these moments. But I'll talk about this much later on because this is like where almost all of the problems are becoming apparent, apart from one, which I'll get into next time. That's a good point. Yeah. You have to... I'm not even getting into this. This is just stupid as well. Yeah. And just for the sake of that shot as well. Yeah, internal bleeding. Oh, come on, he didn't even pull it off. It just fell. Whatever. Whatever, it's the episode's nearly over anyway. Just do your thing and then we can go home. Hello, dude's got the red hair, the purple. Is just everyone stupid? More like knocked up, but you know, that would have been a little bit more badass if Mocha came out with a line like, you talk about your rules, you talk about your law, you talk about John 3:16. Mocha 3:16 says, I just kicked your ass. It would have been a little bit more interesting than saying, Mocha 3:16, know your place. But I can't... This show is not even really good at being corny either. That's just... It's lazy. It's lazy writing, yes, but it's lazy that they didn't do the slightly cooler... Oh, whatever. Yeah, that's a good point. I love how just our Mocha's got nothing to say. Also, you've got to love how that transition was just on their asses, and then they do this. See, they don't even have the "I'm done with this episode. Fuck this." Yeah. Also, don't show just show this still with this stupid 4-kid sort of vision eye, fish eye lens with the orange blur in the background. Don't actually show her giving an apology. Okay. I'm abstaining myself from looking at this episode for the... I just feel like that... I'm done with this episode. Fuck that. I'm abstaining myself. Okay. So that was episode 3. I waited very nearly, what was it, like 5 whole days before I decided to start watching that again. I'm telling you guys this right now, it was not worth the wait. No way, because let's just revisit this again. Even if you could look back past the perversion, and I'm going to have to say, in hindsight, you're just going to have to, like, just kind of either do it or don't. You can either watch it and not feel anything, or even if you are a little bit, you know, creeped out by it, you could just look away or just not fixate yourself on it that much. The problem is that, owing to the problems of this show that it established already, this is what we have to watch. It's what you have to watch the show with everything with the good and the bad. Unfortunately, the bad is bordering very, very closely on what I can only describe as soft porn. And unfortunately, in this instance, not all of that, I think, would even be legal. I don't even know how they didn't even get in any sort of trouble over this. The more I'm thinking about this. The second thing I also want to talk about is that, again, the way that it's become apparent now that I'm watching this in hindsight is that they are taking very, very deliberate ways to cut the budget. From just showing the back ends of characters and having them speak, or just having models such as the lizard men just stare at other characters and just not even have their mouths move, but words are still coming out. And I know, again, listen, Gonzo is... do some incredible stuff. I mean, I wouldn't say they're like on par with something like maybe Madhouse in terms of animation, but when Gonzo can, they can do some incredible things. But whose idea was it? Who was the director who thought, you know what we need? We need to put the camera in such an angle so that we can see up an 11-year-old skirt. Who thought that would ever work? Or who thought that would even get past standards and practices even in Japan, even back in 2008? No, especially in 2000. Who on earth thought about... This show is... So we went from kind of establishing a cool world, an interesting world, trying to establish an interesting character in Mocha, like her dynamic with Rosairo and the spirit living inside. I call it a spirit, but it's a vampire, basically. Then we went from Kurumu, which was... The show has sort of like devolved into like melodrama, monster of the week, and we get introduced to a new girl to the harem. It's very, very... It's a mess. Even when I was watching it back in the day, I honestly thought this show was a little bit of a mess. And then you're going to see what they do next. And it's in episode 5 where I actually had a very solid opinion by the time we got to episode 5, like nearly 8 years ago when I watched this for the very first time. And wait till you guys have got what I've got to say about episode 5, and moreover for episode 4, because if you think I've been very, very critical of this show so far, you are absolutely you're going to need some popcorn. I'm going to need some popcorn for episode 4 and then 5. And with that being said, I hope you guys have enjoyed episode 3. I hope you enjoyed it more than I did. Just saying. And I hope so of you guys again for episode 4 of Rosario Vampire. Take care. Bye-bye for now.